No, I'm not nervous. I'm excited. Everything we're doing is going to be a part of history. I mean, everything we're doing today. This is very, very important.
So where are your notes?
Under my cushion, and I hope I remember to take them out.
All right, hold on.
I may have to stop the interview to read my notes. Excuse me, but okay.
Well, you just going to whip them out?
Well, yeah. Maybe I should have written notes on my hand. Mr. President.
Welcome.
Thank you so much for having us. Nice to see you.
Mr. President, good to see you again.
Dr.
Mrs.
Phil.
Bush, good to see you.
Thanks.
I'm well. Now, I'm going to out Robin from the beginning. She has her notes for this interview hidden under her cushion over there, so she's going to try to be smooth and pull them out.
Well, you know, I'm a little nervous. I'm too excited.
You shouldn't be nervous.
So shall we sit down?
Sure, thanks.
Television doesn't happen lickety-split, so we spent a few minutes getting comfortable while our crew made the final technical adjustment.
I don't know much about TV. I just know lights. I've heard that's important.
And we want them to be really good.
Really good.
When I started my own show, Oprah said, let me tell you, the one thing don't ever forget, lighting is everything.
Everything, exactly.
Everything.
Where were you raised, Phil?
I was born in Veneta, Oklahoma, but I was raised in either southern Oklahoma or Texas.
Really?
It was finally time to get down to business. Thanks so much for having us in your beautiful home. I'm really committed to putting family back in America. I think it's what you have put in the White House. I think it's what we need to put back in America, and I'm devoting so much of my third season to family first, what I call family first, and putting it back together. In preparation for a book that I've done, I conducted a survey of 20,000 parents and asked them all the questions I could about parenting. I was shocked at one thing. 40% of them said, if I knew then what I know now, I probably wouldn't have started a family.
Shocking.
That shocks
I was
me.
stunned
That shocks me.
when I saw that. Why do you suppose they would feel that way in America
Because
today?
relationships are difficult. They are, and certainly, you know, parenting and the parent-child relationship can be really difficult. But I feel like it's the biggest blessing that we have on earth to have children, to be able to love children.
That is an amazing statistic.
is.
It may be that if you have a child, that child has got to be the #1 priority in your life. I tell people on the campaign stump, you know, a responsibility era is one in which if you're fortunate enough to be a mother or father, you're responsible for loving your child with all your heart. Sometimes people want their life to be the priority in their lives, and therefore having a child is a tremendous sacrifice. I just can't imagine people can't understand the joy of being a parent.
My belief is that you're not the only influence in your child's life, so you better be the best influence in your child's life. You know, they're listening to television, they're all of the messages that are out there. You've got to counterbalance that. And I think one of the things that I worry about with education is we teach people how to read and write and add and subtract, but we don't teach them how to be moms and dads.
Yeah.
When you were raising your girls through the busy times, did you have a definition of success? Did you say, okay, for these two girls, what is an absolute out-of-the-park home run? This is what we're shooting for. This is what we want. Did y'all have that in mind when you were raising them?
I wouldn't say we had
Not
that
at all.
formally in mind. You know, we wanted them to be happy. We wanted them to be successful. We knew them, of course, as we got to know them after we had them as babies. And we knew what their talents were. We knew they could be really successful. Successful in school or successful socially with friends and you know, loving people.
See, I think it's a mistake for somebody to set goals for your children other than the basics of life, the values, being respectful to others, honor your beliefs, you know, love God, honor your parents. I know if I were to say, girls, my goal for you is to be the governor of a state. It was an unrealistic goal, and it's unfair. My dad never said to me, you know, son, you must be the greatest something or other, or my vision for you is to go do this. He just said, I love you. Good luck. Which, by the way, the gift of unconditional love of a parent to a child is a great gift because, at least in my case, it enabled me to take risks, knowing that even if there was failure, there's still the most important aspect of life, which was love.
All right, next, Robin reveals a special connection she shares with the Bush twins and later in the show, how the two discipline their daughters. How did y'all discipline the girls as they were growing up? I mean, who was the heavy? Were y'all spankers? Did you spank them?
Come on, feel the noise. Girls, rock your boys.
Introducing new Ore-Ida Extra Crispy Fries. Feel the noise.
What they lack in the talent department, they make up for in the taste department. Because Sunny D is a good source of vitamin C and B1 and has a taste they crave. Soda has no vitamins.
They're getting good.
It doesn't get any better than this. Sunny D with a sport cap, the good stuff kids go for.
Hey, Larry, aching for some bacon?
Hey, Larry. Hungry, partner?
Larry! Long time no see!
Top of the morning, Larry. English muffin? How about some biscuits and gravy?
Oh, let's pig out, Larry.
Nobody move. He's got the bar.
Fight off temptation with Nutri-Grain. When your willpower's tested, reach for a low-fat Nutri-Grain bar instead.
Look, it's Amy!
Hello, Amy.
The amazing 4 for All pizza from Pizza Hut. 4 different pizzas topped just the way you like them for only $11.99. And for just $1 more, get your choice of piping hot breadsticks, an ice-cold 2-liter Pepsi, or freshly baked cinnamon sticks. For $1 more, you get more. Gather around the good stuff.
It's time to get rid of the IRS.
Sounds good, but the devil's in the details. DeMent's plan would impose a 23% federal sales tax on top of our state sales tax. He would eliminate your home mortgage deduction and end religious and charitable deductions. Seniors on a fixed income would pay more, and young people couldn't afford the sales tax on a new home. Maybe Jim DeMent can afford it, but can you? The Democratic Senatorial Campaign Committee is responsible for the content of this message.
I'm Jim DeMent, and I approve this message to set the record straight. My opponent claims I want to raise your taxes. That's not true. I want to cut your taxes and get rid of the IRS. One plan would replace all income taxes, payroll, and business taxes with a sales tax. You keep 100% of your paycheck, your Social Security check, and every family gets a monthly check averaging $400 for taxes on food and medicine. All of your paycheck, no tax return, and that's the truth.
We already know she doesn't like some of our clothes, our music, or most of the TV shows we watch. Gainey, we love you dearly, but you're just not very hip. She thinks Sex in the City is something married people do, but never talk about.
Okay, those were the Bush twins, Barbara and Jenna, at this year's Republican convention. The appearance drew a lot of heat from the press, now that they've decided to campaign for their dad. Now, Robin and I sat down with the girls' parents to talk about the first couple's greatest pride and biggest challenge. For the President and Mrs. Bush, their twin daughters are a special joy because they weren't sure they could even have children. And when the First Lady did get pregnant, they nearly lost them. Always protective parents, the Bushes have kept Barbara and Jenna out of the limelight. But the girls still did normal things, like go to summer camp and attend public school. And every day, one of their parents was home by 4 to help with homework. This very political couple never used their daughters in a political campaign and worked hard to keep them out of the public eye.
We spent the last 4 years trying to stay out of the spotlight. Sometimes we did a little better job than others.
But Mom and Dad couldn't protect Barbara and Jenna from the press when they were charged with underage drinking in Texas a few years back.
We kept trying to explain to my dad that when we were young and irresponsible, well, we were young and irresponsible.
Yeah, there was
As we talked with the Bushes about their daughters, Robin was able to identify with the girls in a very special way.
I grew up a twin, and truly, to me, it was a privilege and a blessing to have a twin and have all my life. And, you know, the family always called us the twins, even though we were treated differently, but we were always considered the twins. Do you think your girls feel like they are?
I think they feel like you do. They are so unbelievably privileged to have each other, blessed to have each other, and it really, under the circumstances of their life, they've given each other so much emotional support, and they are so lucky to have each other.
You know, one of the interesting things, I haven't seen much rivalry between them.
There's just a special bond when
There
when
really
it's twins.
is.
You guys have raised two beautiful daughters in an absolute changing world, and so many people throughout the country really gotten at such hyper speed. What has been so important for you guys with your two girls, Jenna and Barbara?
Well, we've tried to give our girls a very normal life, and their grandfather was vice president when they were born, so during their whole life, their grandfather was vice president, or their dad was governor or president, and so I think we've made a special effort to have it be a very normal life. But I also think that in today's times, we want our children to know values that are important to us, and those aren't always the values we hear on television or in the media. And I think that makes child rearing a little bit more difficult because of trying to pass on these values that we know are important when there's such a counter sound out there with everything else.
Yeah, I got a little different take on it. I think, not to say that wasn't brilliant, but I think, get trouble. Yeah, I know. But I think the other thing that Laura has done a great job of, and I hope I have as well, is to remind our girls we love them. See, I think love is the foundation for healthy children. And if that foundation is real in their lives, then the noise and the, you know, the countercultural influences are not quite as corrosive to the dreams we all have for our children. My advice to parents is to tell your child you love them every single day. I'm not so sure I was able to do that all the time. I know Laura did. And I've tried, as I recognize how important that is, particularly no matter how busy I may think I am, to tell our girls, I love you, and we love you.
Were there special things that you did with each one of them, just father to daughter, that was a ritual or a tradition that you think they might remember as they begin to have children?
Yeah, I think, for example, you know, we were fortunate enough to be one of the owners of the Texas Rangers baseball team.
That's where you and I first met, at a Rangers game, actually.
Were you pitching?
I was pitching relief.
That's right. It was like the equivalent of a camping trip. I would say, who wants to go to the ball game? And one of them would say that they wanted to go, or Barbara would say she didn't or did want to go, and we'd go out together and hang out at the ballpark and have a meal. We went as a family a lot too. But yeah, there was individual trips that we took.
Jenna has the great story about when she went out. She was the only one crazy enough to go with him on Labor Day weekend when it was 108. She was so hot, she went to the bathroom and covered herself with wet paper towels so she looked like a mummy.